it's all over. It is now.
Welcome back to A View from the Stands. I know we're back after a very, very long leave of absence. I think it's been 2 months we worked out. We've been gone away, but now we're back. We're ready to ramble over some of the things that have happened in football over the last few months. So welcome back, everyone. Nice to see you again, lads.
Nice to see you, Jordan.
Everyone had a good Christmas, good New Year.
It was all right. Yeah. Good as it could be, I suppose.
Good as it could be in the current circumstances, obviously. What I suppose we were saying, a lot's happened since we've been going. I feel like we've missed the mark on a few of the big things happening in the world of football. But we'll just start with the current situation at the moment. And for the 2 and a bit years we've been doing this podcast, it's been very few times I've personally been able to brag about my team's position. I still don't know if we are, because we're currently joint Premier League winners of 2021 already in January. So we might get a View from the Stands title race here. I say we might. I mean, come back in next week's episode because it would already been over, by the way. So so what do you think about that, Alex? Obviously Liverpool, few inconsistent results recently. Do you still see yourself as title favourites?
Well, I mean, we're top of the league, aren't we? So you'd think
we're top of the league.
Well, we're top of the league, goal difference, you know. When we get Jota back, and if we buy Upamecano, when we buy him, or Alaba, then happy days. We're back on form. Thiago got his first 90 minutes, I think. So
after about 6 years ago when you bought him,
bloody hell, yeah, I forgot what he looked like. Shaved his head since then, but I think the wheels are going to fall off Man United soon. I think City look like they're.
My honest opinion, I think City are title favourites. The way we like last night's game, which I've tried to just sort of erase because it's just like it's one of those games. It's not so much the disappointment of going out the cup; it's more the fact we've got out so many semi-finals. But they were just far better than us last night, like hands down. I mean, I said to my mate, the only good thing is we've only got to play them once now this season. So as long as we carry on beating,
who was the only team that predicted City would win? By the way. Me.
Yeah, but I didn't know half of Liverpool would go down with injuries. So.
I didn't know Spurs were out the title race. Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, no, Spurs are still.
They're out.
They're hanging in there.
I told you City had come back though.
Someone raised about Liverpool. Do you think it's as much of a case the forward three haven't been as good as they normally are, as well as the back line? I know a lot of it's been put on the fact that they've had loads of defensive injuries, but do you think also that the attack hasn't really been firing this season?
I think Salah's been all right. I think Salah's been okay. Mane, I'm not as sure on this season. He's not been what he was last season. He was brilliant, but he was like phenomenal last season. But yeah, maybe I don't know. I've watched every game of Liverpool's, but I'm looking at the Southampton game in particular as well. Obviously, last game, they were struggling to create chances. And to be fair to Southampton, they defended well. They did what they had to do, and they're quite good at that against the bigger teams. They did it against City last season, didn't they? The same sort of game where they were just defensively so good, and they have been. Them and Villa have got the most clean sheets this season. I think 8 so far this season. So obviously they're defensively solid.
I just think it's a bit of a because we've had the same from free for the last 4 years. I think now. I think it's just been a bit of like when Jota came in, it was like right, we got
refreshing. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Yeah, but if you look at all the best teams. Who really has the same from 3 for 4, like the exact same? And it's just maybe people found that was out a bit, maybe. But I mean, Salah's still top scorer.
I think he's up there, definitely still up there, like second or first, isn't he? 14, 15 goals.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's similar. But I think in a bad season, it's not too bad, is it?
So I raised the point the other day that. I said to someone, do you think Liverpool have been affected massively? And I know people will disagree because he's been poor, but missing out on Timo Werner. Now, Timo Werner has been poor for Chelsea, but do you think he would have been as poor if he was playing in that front three for Liverpool? And do you think Liverpool needed that change? I personally think, I don't think you would have seen the Timo Werner you've seen at Chelsea. I think if he'd been playing at top, for Liverpool. You'd have been seeing someone who would have been a lot more potent, and Liverpool as a whole would have looked a lot better. They could have dropped Firmino back into sort of the number 10 role. I think it would have suited Liverpool a lot more. They could have mixed it up, because I think you're right. I think it's the case of, and I think a lot of teams are going through this. I think maybe Wolves are a bit as well, where they've played the same system for so long that teams are starting to come in now, and tactical knowledge is just getting better and better, that you've got to keep changing. Otherwise, teams work it out. I said that. I thought from the first game of the season when Leeds went to Anfield, it's like if teams started working them out, because like teams are starting to go there with a lot more confidence about to nullify Liverpool. Whereas last season, every team that went there looked hopeless. Like they didn't really know what they were doing to get 3 points. So do you think there's a lot of combination of those sort of factors?
I will say one thing about Liverpool. I think they're not getting almost. I think people are criticising a bit too much because the injuries they've had. Don't get me wrong, I'm not walking around the street blowing the vuvuzela for Liverpool. I'm not a massive fan of them, but I do think they've done well with the injuries they've got. To be honest, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. With your full squad, I think you'd have done the league again. You'd be more points ahead than you are now. But I think with some of the teams you've put out in the back lines and having Phillips and Williams and players, I think to be top of the league with that, and I know you lost to Saints, but having Henderson and Fabinho at the back and still be top of the league, I think fair play.
Yeah, I think Sky Sports said it after the Saints game. I think the fact that every time Liverpool do lose a game this season, it's such a crisis because of how rare it is for you to lose a game. And people just overreact on what, last season they were phenomenal. Was it? How many games did you lose last season? 2, 3, yeah. And that's why, isn't it? It's just overreacting to something which isn't probably the standards what they were last season, but it's still a very, very good standard.
No, to be honest, there's almost going to be a drop off, isn't there? Because when you hit those high standards, you're always going to drop off. There's no way they were better into what they did last season. I think it's a season, obviously, where not everyone's dropped off. Obviously, some teams have progressed, but it's a lot closer. I think the games without no fans mean that anyone can go anywhere and get a win. There's no gap. I don't think there's now. I mean, if we can go on to talk about the Premier League as a whole, I think the entertainment has been, because there's no guaranteed result anymore. So anyone can go to anyone and get a result. West Brom, who look awful and have been awful for ages, in their last however many games, they've gone and got a result at City and Liverpool, both away from home. So
then go lose 5-0 to whoever it was the other day.
Arsenal, they lost 4-0 to the weekend, didn't they? So it's like, and I suppose obviously Tom, Villa have been one of the benefits of the sort of the lockdown Premier League. So how have you assessed their season so far?
I've got started booking some flights for Europa League games next season when all this COVID has gone. But wow, what a season so far! I just don't want to get too carried away with it, mind, because obviously lost to United the other game, and we've got Tottenham next. So all of a sudden you could be sitting in 10th place and going, oh, not at the dizzy heights that we have been a few weeks ago, but even still, like to be 10th after what the season had last season, brilliant.
Well, what do you think going right? Where do you think that's like sort of coming from? Do you think is it certain signings they brought in, or
I think it is. I think it's really good signings. Just not going out and getting a load of players in, just adding in like key areas with quality. I think Martinez just been absolutely brilliant. The most clean sheets in the Premier League this season. He's been superb. I think Matty Cash at right back has added. I don't know what it is. Just a bit of. I think that back four has just been superb with Cash, Mings, Konza, Target. A bit of a Brexit defence, but like it has been brilliant for us.
Matt Target, I give because I always thought he was just pretty average. But
he's improved so much this season.
Palace, I think. And I thought he was brilliant. He's so good against Palace. I think he had against Zaha.
Yeah.
And he's got nothing out of him.
Yeah. And then you got Douglas Luiz, who's come on at leaps and bounds in that CDM role. He's made that his own now. You can't take him out of the team. Obviously, adding Ross Barkley is huge, but he hasn't played in the last. Probably missed about eight games or something now. So you can't even all put it on his head, which at the start, some people were saying, we beat Leicester away and he scored that goal, thinking Barkley's the one, but Clearly not. Grealish and Watkins, Traore, just
El
superb.
Ghazi.
Wow, who'd have said when Trez got injured at West Ham and El Ghazi came in? If you'd have told me he'd got 5 goals in 5 games,
I think that
wouldn't have believed
goal against Wolves was massive for him. What a goal can do for someone's confidence.
Yeah.
And that penalty was huge for him, as well as Villa, I think, as well. But if you think back to, I think it was the end of last season after the restart, when you played against Chelsea at home, and there was just no intent to attack. I mean, you'd actually go 1-0 up from a set piece kind of thing, but there was no intent to attack. You were literally just holding back, not even trying to play football. If you look at you there compared to when you played Chelsea a few weeks ago, the difference in the sides there, ridiculous. Just from a few players as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been one where Villa I thought they looked very good when they came to Old Trafford. Sort of another team who came to Old Trafford the other day, Wolves, who I didn't think looked so good. They nearly got a result out of us, but it was a surprise for me because Wolves banked in, and normally they were known for over the last few seasons as the side who went for it against top teams. So, where would you assess sort of the season, Connell, over the last month or so?
It's just been strange, isn't it? Like we're not playing bad, but we're just not doing enough. Like the Arsenal game was brilliant, especially with the loss of Jimenez, could have affected us massively, but we won it. Then we went to Liverpool, got smashed, which is fair enough because you can against champions. Then Aston Villa was again another stupid mistake from Semedo. Fair enough, gave away the penalty. Could have been a draw, probably should have been. I mean, Fabio's over hit the post.
Yeah, you had the better chances that game.
Yeah,
over the 90 minutes.
But again, better chances doesn't make the result, does it? So then we go and beat Chelsea. So it's ridiculous. Like we can play so well up to a point, and then the next game we get smashed by Burnley, and then we play Tottenham, draw, lose to Man United.
He's reading the results out.
Yeah, I've got them all there. Don't worry.
That's every result for Wolverhampton Wanderers this season, buddy. They sit 6th in the league.
But then Brighton, right? That game, you've got to be winning that 3-1 up. You can't see that. You got to see that.
I turned off at 3-1. I thought that's it. Chuck the darts on.
Well, to be honest, so did I, because as you're saying, like we normally against the big teams go for it, and I thought against Brighton we scored 3 in the first half. I was like, blimey, this could be like 5 or 6 the way we were playing. And then as soon as the first tackle, Martinho, 10 seconds in, I was like, oh god. And then I don't know.
You think Nuno? I don't think he knows what he wants to play now, because he's tried 4 at the back a few times, hasn't he? But then he'll go back to the 3, and then the next game it's back to a 4. I think he's probably having players out injured in this Christmas busy period of just that doesn't help. But
I think you mentioned it earlier about teams. I don't think he wants to be predictable. So like Sheffield United, look at them now. Last season, nobody would have been telling you they could get anywhere near them, but this season they're awful. So I think he's trying to make things different, but it's just transition at the moment. It's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
you've seen Catrone come back.
Yeah, he's just Catrone and Gibbs White. So.
Oh, God. Move on, Jordan.
We got off to Sowie. He looks decent.
Who?
The young American lad who's been playing. But
nice.
I don't know. We'll see.
Just to finish on the Premier League quickly, do you think sort of what the results are showing now is a more tactical league? I mean, without fans, do you think there's a lot more? Because in a way, you're almost thinking like these are games that could be played on training grounds. So do you think you're now seeing, because you've now taken away the effect of fans and stuff, and sort of the home away advantage going, do you think there's more? And this is where I think this has been the most interesting to watch personally, Premier League season in a while. I know it's a bit disappointing without no atmosphere, but I think now you're seeing real tactical games where someone will come with a very set bit of tactics and come in and play, and then the other team come and you're seeing where styles clash. Does everyone see that, or do you think that it's still lacking because of no fans?
I think definitely, because when you've got fans, they massively sway a game. Like if the fans are getting fans get up for certain things, and that can just change the game. The one team can, it can work either way, can't it? It'll get one team up, it'll do the opposite to another team. So we've not got that now. So probably right, Jordan, tactics and, things that happen on the training ground are much more prevalent in the games now.
I think as well, like a Liverpool or Man City, they don't have when they do a little pass move and all the crowd like stand up or start getting interested, they don't have that, do they? So maybe they're missing out on that, because I'm sure a lot of players like performing, don't they, as well as playing. They like people going
extroverts.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'm sure like Sterling likes when he makes the player and he runs around and everything like that. So.
No, yeah, and I think when like you were saying, when like a counter attack, for example, from a corner, and the crowd like urge you on, that sort of gives you a like idea of what to do with the ball almost. Like that's when there's no fans there, you don't know if to carry on running with it or go back and play a 5-yard pass.
In that sense, crowds almost sometimes act as like another manager sort of thing. When the manager would shout on something, crowds sort of like that. Where like the crowd shouts something, a player does it. I think the game I really noticed the lack of no crowds was when Wolves came to Old Trafford. United very much. We won the game in the end with a moment like brilliance, ball over the top. We win. We shouldn't have won that game. We should have drew that game. It was a game where and I suppose you might have seen it with your teams when it's 0-0. And normally the crowd are like, they get frustrated, don't they? And start saying teams to attacking them. But because there was no crowd there, Wolves just stayed in. United didn't really know whether they should go for it and stuff. And I think there's a bit of effect there. That's where I see crowds are missing, because in games where it's close, I think players are more likely now to play games safe, which is like you say, Man City, Man United, that's another example. That was an awful rubbish 0-0 that was. But I think that came from both teams being happy not to lose. They didn't have fans on their back. I think that was kind of like, you just accept it. And I wonder if, like say next weekend's game is going to be really hype, Man United, Liverpool, will that fall victim to that, where both teams will be so nervous not to drop points in that game, that you'll get something where there's no fans and there's not really that atmosphere, and both teams just kind of like sit in and happy to do it. I don't know. I think you're seeing both sides of it. You're seeing games that are crazy because you're really getting two different styles clashing, and you're also seeing games where teams are playing safe. I think that's probably the key difference in this season. And we'll move on to the Championship now, because as I understand, I think Nottingham Forest have just been struggling by. Is that probably a fair assessment? Or
yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, we are currently 5 unbeaten. That's something to be proud of this season, if anything. I mean, a few of those were draws, one being at home to Birmingham City on Boxing Day, 0-0. But we won the last game against Preston, 1-0. It was a Lewis grabbing penalty. And to be honest, we probably shouldn't have won. They hit the bar twice in the second half. But I think we are now starting to see a bit more of Chris Hughton's style of play and what he wants to bring into Forest. We're not just getting the ball and giving it back to the player, the other team. Now we're keeping the ball, trying to do something with it. And actually, because I think what really does let us down now is the attacking third, and how we our final product as a whole. We can't cross a ball, it seems. We can't find that final touch to get us in front goal or get a good enough opportunity. Obviously, Knockout as well now is possibly not going to be with us. I mean, he's played his last game. Well, so far, his last game against Preston, and he's meant to go back to Fulham. But apparently another club's interested in him as well. But we want to try and get a deal done. But hopefully we can get it over the line and try and get it back in, because I think he just adds a bit of quality himself. But no, it's not been the greatest so far. But 5 unbeaten.
Can I just ask Tom something? Has your life got dramatically better since we've stopped watching Nottingham Forest on a weekly basis?
I've actually been sleeping well. It's been brilliant. Not waking up in cold sweats. Not waking up in cold sweats, seeing the ball go through Brees Samber's hands, or Figueiredo fouling someone on the edge of the box. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, but no, it's still painful to watch that Birmingham City game. I was just 90 minutes of just, when is this over? When is this over? Because I don't want to watch it. No one else wants to watch it. 0-0. Oh, it was. And then the thing about that game as well, which really did annoy me, was a few days after, when Birmingham's next game was Derby, and Derby go beat them 4-0 or something ridiculous, and they're below us. It just shows how bad that Birmingham City side was and how much we didn't actually go for it.
Is the playoff dream still there, do you reckon?
It's the playoff dreams. It's the playoff dream still there.
You could run a run, couldn't you?
Of course it is.
Points in the games to play.
I highly doubt it, but I've seen Stranger Things, series 1, 2, and 3. But no, who knows? Who knows? There's always a dark horse. There's always a dark horse for the second half of the season.
So who are we fancying in the Championship then? Who are we saying are looking like the likely candidates?
I think Bournemouth are unstoppable, to be honest with you, as well. On the day, they're just next level. And rightly so, the team they've got out. Norwich, yeah, as well. Another side which will be up there. And Swansea, I'll tell you what, Swansea.
I can imagine though if Norwich, Bournemouth, and Watford.
Yeah.
Go up.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I'm not
going to start saying things about clubs again, but it's boring. I want to see someone else come up, like when Blackpool came up, or
I think Jose
Leeds
Mourinho
last season.
wanted,
it's good to see different clubs.
Jose Mourinho thinks Brentford will come up, doesn't he?
Yeah, it could be Brentford. Yeah, to be fair, they've looked brilliant as well. Same as Swansea, but Swansea have lost obviously Morgan Gibbs-White and Casey Palmer now as well. He's gone back to Bristol City, so they rely on
playing a lot for
young players. Yeah, I think he was playing well as well. So I think it's a bit of a disruption to their side.
Quickly touching then on a club that was just mentioned and a very favourite, and we have quite a few fan members there to this podcast, Watford FC. We were just saying in the period we've been away, one of their players has started blowing up, not on the football pitch, but in the world of social media and YouTubing, Ben Foster. And he got embroiled in a bit of a controversial, sticky moment at the weekend. If you're not familiar, Ben Foster, I'm sure you are. Ben Foster's been vlogging his season so far in the Championship, leaving his GoPro in the goal. And then this weekend in a 2-1 loss to Swansea, Jamal Lowe went over and celebrated in front of his GoPro. To which Ben Foster obviously wouldn't mention that on social media because the fans are annoyed about the game. But no, he did go mention it on social media with a laughing emoji. Didn't delete the tweet either. I always appreciate that. You say something that rolls up a lot of people and you keep the tweet up, fair play. I think, you've got to make a statement out on social media and change it. What I was going to ask is if that was a player for your club, would you want a player? Would you want your goalkeeper at your club vlogging the season?
I think I'd hate it. I'd love it, but hate it
this season. I don't want to see many goals go in the goal.
It depends on the situation of the club and how you're playing. I think really, that is what it is. I think like if your team's win every week and it's not, it's happy days there, isn't it? But that's not reality, and you're going to have weekends where you're losing and. Well, for Watford recently, it's not been very good. New manager coming in as well. So it's hard to do it. But at the same time, it's Ben Foster, who's now, 36, 37, who's in his final few years of his career. He's done it all. I think you can probably rely on him for professionalism in terms of doing things right. I mean, he did make a mistake the other day if you had to saw it against Huddersfield. But no, I understand why you'd be upset as a Watford fan, especially for him tweeting, "Oh, shall I put the Jamal logo in?" Which it's just not needed to be said, really. Just leave it until you put it out.
I don't really understand why he's doing it. Like, I understand if it was for a younger keeper, like trying to make himself better. But as you said, he's like 35, 36, so he's probably going to retire.
I'd imagine he's trying to get a media career. He's obviously coming to the end of his career. If he shows himself as vlogging, he'll get. Yeah. It was the same with David Myler, wasn't it? He went into the YouTube thing, and now he works for Premier League. It's sort of like it's probably like a pre-planning thing. If he shows that he's comfortable in front of the camera, because obviously as a footballer, you've got to think if you're not going to be a coach or work something, you've got to think
I think it's a great idea as well in terms of what he's decided to do. Like no players, especially during like a pandemic as well, where people can't be at the game and they don't see the ins and outs of everyday life as a footballer as well. And I think he does show that, and I enjoy watching him myself personally. I actually do enjoy watching what
it's just his personality.
He is quite weird at times.
He's very cringeworthy. The things he does and says.
Does think he's 21 still.
He'll walk up to the coach driver or the club doctor or whatever and go like, "Yes, Bazzy," and then they just look at him and just go, "Yep."
Well, so much really doesn't normally. He always goes time for Brecco.
Yeah,
for breakfast. Just say breakfast, mate.
He abbreviates everything. The only thing what really annoyed me was over Christmas he had beef Wellington for his Christmas dinner.
Oh, I saw that. I saw it.
No,
You could tell his family weren't impressed, or he got his camera out when they were having a Christmas dinner.
Yeah, I know.
Put it away, Ben.
Logging it at the table.
Put it away, Ben.
Did you see
Not
his,
again.
Did you see his outtakes video?
Yeah. I did. Will
It's just funny how like he's walking to his car and he's like trying to film intros. Like we sort of know how it goes. Like sometimes you say you have to do a few takes, but it's just funny like seeing him. He walks out his front door to his car and he has to keep going back into his house to walk back out the door to do the intro. And
what I was thinking the other day, I want to know who does. So like on match days, obviously before when he's doing his like warm ups and stuff, he has like slow mo montages of himself doing it. I was thinking the other day, I wonder who he gives the camera to.
I guess that's just the media team at Watford.
I was like, oh, do you mind filming me do a few, like catches and stuff?
They just do it,
also,
I reckon.
I don't get how anyone could be that positive after defeat. He never seems like
he doesn't care.
Annoyed or pissed off with the game. He loves it. That 2-1 defeat just one. You win some, you lose some. Do you know what? I love playing kind of thing, It
was the Huddersfield one where it was his own mistake, where he just literally passed it straight to him. And he was just after the game, he make mistakes, but we go, we'll have a beer tonight. And don't know what I'll watch, something, probably Netflix, and then go to bed.
Another point as well, how bad is Kiko Firmino, or how much does Ben Foster not like him? Because he's the only person he shouts at.
He loves Clevs, though, the little tank.
You're beauty.
Your little tank.
I find it funny every time as well. He gets his camera out around Troy Deeney. Troy's face is just he can't believe what he's seeing every time. He don't even do with it.
I'll tell you though, I reckon Jamal Lowe set like the trend now though. Because I bet we're going, I'm going to do. I bet people be like going up to the camera and giving it like bigger now.
Yeah, someone was bound to do it, weren't they? As well.
He said he's going to film this weekend.
Like say stuff about Foster or something like that.
He's meant to be filming this weekend at Old Trafford. Knowing how United are with media requests, they are not going to let him vlog.
No,
at all, not at all. Man United don't even let I think when like Man City, they used to do they film like the tunnel and stuff on match day.
Yeah.
Don't let them do any of that Old Trafford. Wouldn't let them film their Amazon documentaries.
Training grounds. That was pretty good though.
Yeah, no, he had to get permission. Ben Foster had to get permission off the Championship as well, didn't he? Because there was a stage where I didn't know if it was allowed because he was filming parts of the game.
Yeah,
but he's got
won't
something
happen
at the
if they
top
go
corner
up, will it?
Well, no, I doubt it. I mean, but Ben Foster care, he'll probably be finished his career anyway soon. So
yeah. Well, fair play to him.
It's a clever idea.
Yeah,
I like it, Ben.
I suppose
I enjoy watching
topic that we've missed out on. Obviously, it's the elephant in the room. It's still COVID, isn't it? COVID's still taking over everything. And over the last few weeks, there's been questions with a lot of games being called off now. I know City, and I think I'll stick up for City on this. I think it was just because it was Man City, everyone wanted to be like, well, why should they call off the game and stuff with COVID cases? But then obviously it does raise a debate. It's always the thing. Obviously, you understand why they're doing it because COVID. Obviously, they got to be as safe as possible. But also, if you have 3 or 4 injuries, you can't get a game called off. So should they be calling off games as they are? I mean, what's everyone's opinions on that?
I think they should, but not like you saw the Jose Mourinho on his Instagram the other day. You don't do it 2 hours before the game. That is ridiculous. If your decision's going to be made, make sure it's done day before or very early in the morning. You don't leave it. You don't leave it that late. But I think because of the new strand and everything, it's just everyone's still getting used to it, aren't they? So nobody knows when it's going to happen. Because obviously you saw when Zaha the other week, he was in the team, and then he got the COVID test before the game, and he was out. So I know you said that was obviously planned, but you don't know. It's just
I didn't plan on getting COVID.
No, I mean putting him on the team sheet before. Yeah.
No.
I think it's a tough.
It can happen anytime, can't it?
If the news about someone like Walker throwing that party is true, and then who did against Everton they got cut off, didn't it? And it's a bit harsh. Yeah. If you say most of Everton's players, and probably most of City, but most Everton, they abided by the rules and all that lot, and then they get their game called off because someone on the other team is got the virus because of himself. I think it's a bit dodgy, but I think you could be safe though, don't you? There's no point in spreading it just to play football.
Yeah, you've got to put health reasons first, haven't you? If it's like, I imagine, well, today it's come out, there's been, an outbreak in the Villa camp, and so you can't imagine that we'll be playing Liverpool tomorrow, because it just wouldn't make sense, would it, really? Because you might have players that have tested negative and will go and play, but they might have, they might develop symptoms over the next couple of days and think, it's just not worth it, is it, really? Because then if that goes to Liverpool, that could affect the title race. It's just if there's a risk, you just don't do it.
Of course, it's not just affecting the men's league as well, it's affecting the women's league also. It's like Arsenal had it.
So it's Dubai, didn't they?
Dubai, yeah. And then obviously that's caused them to all be angry, and then the Aston Villa game's postponed, the Man City game postponed.
I saw that, yeah.
You've got to think of all the other teams as well.
Do you think the football will be stopped again or not? Because I don't think there's not enough time to do that. In genuine, like, if you were to stop it, it'd have to stop for a long time. Because if it was just a month, then the players still have to come back 2 weeks into that month to get themselves prepared for the next games in the 2 weeks' time. So if it was to happen, it would have to be a long break for it to make sense almost.
I think they'll do everything they can. I think they'll do everything they can to keep it going. I don't think they can afford to stop it.
Sort of like, I think there should be a week or two coming up soon where they let teams catch up on games. Just on the fact that I think now it's going to be very. I don't know if you're getting an advantage for this or not, but you're going to have teams playing so many different amount of games through the league that you might need a point soon where you stop games, push them back a week or something, have a week where teams start to catch up on it. I mean, if you've got 2 games in a week or something, maybe as an idea, just for the fact that obviously teams now, it's going to come close back to being Champions League and stuff, so teams are going to be playing. It's going to be harder and harder to rearrange this game. I would imagine you'll get a situation at some point, not too dissimilar to what Liverpool had last season when they had the Club World Cup, when there's going to be games arranged within a few days of each other. You're going to get managers kicking off. So I think there might be a point where you almost want to say, maybe in the next however many weeks, to stop fixtures temporarily to let teams catch up with cup ties, things, and then go again with that. I know obviously it's better said in reality than done, but I just think for teams, then you're getting advantages for people who've had rest breaks and things, to make it probably as fair as possible.
It's hard to have a good judgment of the league as well at the minute, because there's teams, I know us especially, have got 2 games in hand on some teams, and others do as well. So it is hard when you look at the table to. I know it all comes clear at the end of the season, but no, I think that is a good idea, Jordan. If you just had like a couple of weeks where, you're not postpone some fixtures and let teams catch up that have missed games, and then,
like the Champions League and International, I think they should just get cancelled or postponed. I think it's so dumb.
Too many games, isn't there? Yeah.
Well, it's not that. It's just like the international friendlies. Why?
The international friendlies go.
Yeah,
They've got to go. Not just because of COVID. They got to go anyway. Especially because of COVID now, they got to go.
The players won't go, will they? They'll just. The teams
they'll have to go.
The teams will say they've got an injury, and then they'll just pull out. So.
Going to different countries during a pandemic, I think.
Yeah.
I doubt international breaks. Well, you would think they'd be sensible enough to not make teams travel and stuff in the international breaks, but you know what the FA are like. They love international breaks. Gareth Southgate, he's got to get paid for something, hasn't he?
We've got to play Montenegro just to see if the 5 back works for the Euros. We've got to do it.
And we'll call up players who aren't ever going to go to the Euros, but we just want to try them out and stuff. And it's just like, what is the point? No one's enjoying it. The players don't want to play. I think the only guy who probably want to go is Gareth Southgate, to be honest. He'd probably be looking forward to it. But apart from that, it's like you don't need him. This rate, how it's going on, they'll be lucky to get Euros in. They genuinely will. Like, with it going on, whether there's obviously going to be no fans.
There's no way it's going to be all over Europe as well. Not a chance.
Exactly. I think it's very likely you see the Euros just take place in the UK.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. But then it depends. New strain of virus in the UK and stuff. Whether they want to drag.
Might be somewhere.
It'll be in one country.
Yeah.
But I just think in the UK,
it's Australia, New Zealand,
somewhere like that.
Yeah, somewhere in
Europe. Someone will be making money somewhere.
The Euros.
And then after the Euros, he'd gone straight back up. Oops.
Yeah, it'll be put somewhere where someone makes a lot of money out of hosting it anyway. So I think the UK are the country who have the most infrastructure. Have a tournament within a month's notice saying you're holding this. I know other stadiums have the grounds and stuff, but the amount of facilities in the UK, they always said that with like World Cups and stuff, if Qatar was ever to get postponed at the last minute, it would probably be the UK who'd be stepping in and have it England, they've got the facilities for it. So that wouldn't surprise me if that was a thing that happened anyway, which means England are winning the Euros in their own country.
That's the dream.
Crossed. Yeah.
Coming home.
Maybe if they replace the manager, but
I tell you what though, all these postponed games just is an absolute fantasy nightmare, isn't it? Really,
I was going to say fantasy. It's
absolute fantasy nightmare.
We've been in the mud.
It's just racket. Oh God!
I put
Yeah, go to sleep.
Edison in, and he hasn't played. He's got COVID for like 3 weeks. He literally hasn't played. Not free
for going for expensive goalkeepers. You've learnt your lesson here, Connor, mate.
I can't sleep at night knowing that I don't know who's going to play for me. If I'm going to get a 4-11 out, I don't know.
Quick update on the table. Obviously, after game week 17, so we've had 17 game weeks. I'm top at the moment with 1,059 points. Tom Hartley is less than. Well, how far are you? About 75 points behind me in second place. Alex
Sounds about right.
Alex is about 50 points behind Tom. Harvey's just about 10 points over behind Alex. And then sat behind a while away is Shamak, my pitch up. Did you always have that name?
That's changed that.
No, you've changed your name, haven't you?
It becomes crazy crude.
And then Abra Dubravka.
That's what I thought. Abra Dubravka.
Shamak, my pitch up.
I gave it a little change.
I swear I looked at that.
Tasteless, that is utterly tasteless, Connor.
That's horrible.
Horrendous name. And you deserve to be bottom for having that name.
You're going down.
I did actually change to Fiddler on the Hooth as well, but I thought, wasn't sure.
You've been reading these online.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've read an article on
Fiddler on the Hooth.
Brilliant.
Good.
You've lost the plot.
That's a good one.
Lockdown, mate. Lockdowns may be crazy.
You don't get any extra points, for getting a better name or anything. You're still bottom.
They are actually banning people from having insensitive and derogatory.
Yeah. I don't think Shamak my pitch up.
Don't worry, I'll change it before the end.
You're going to get reported.
Yeah. I mean, we have got unprotected Cesc and Ben Me over in the league as well. But...
That was tasteful.
Why can't you bend? I'm not going to say why can't you bend me over. Shouldn't have said that.
God! Right.
It's a league which I have certainly gone down a hill in. God, I've had a bad Christmas period. It went wrong since the free hit when I decided to bring Mahrez in, and then Mahrez just let me. I don't think he played a single minute for me, really.
So obviously after the Christmas period, a lot of people changed teams. Obviously, I put a wild card in. Who are people banking on going forward? We've got a double game week coming up in about the next. Was it not next week? The week after we got a
week after, yeah.
So who are people banking on to pick on points for the rest of the season? Should we start with Connor? Who's your go-tos going forward?
It's got to be City players, I think. They've got a good run of fixtures. But then again, with COVID, you never know. You could play your wild card, right? And then half the team be out. So it's going to really, really annoy me, as we've been saying already.
Not put off by Pep rotation for picking City players as well.
I think at the moment he's got a settled team, actually. I think the back four looks solid, and De Bruyne hardly ever gets dropped. So, and obviously Aguero will be coming back. It'll only be when the Champions League comes back. That'll be probably might change a few, but no, I think City look good. I think Liverpool have got quite a few hard games coming. I know they got United, haven't they, and then Tottenham. That's right. But I think City. So,
Tom.
I'm looking at doing the old triple captain on Bruno.
I'm thinking double game week triple captain on Bruno.
I know the double game week. One of the games is Liverpool, but I'm looking here. United have got Burnley, Liverpool, Fulham, Sheffield. Some good fixtures coming up. Yeah, but then again, I don't know. You get Bruno's just been absolutely bagging the points in for me. To be honest, he's been the one that's dragged me through it. To be honest, to get me to where I am in the table now. I think. So I
can't think of many fantasy players who've been so consistent on the game since I've been playing it. Anyway, someone who literally he gets points most weeks and bonus points as well. It's just ridiculous. Harvey, have you got any shouts for someone to go?
I've actually started to bring Arsenal players back into my team now because
Yeah,
they've
good
started
shout.
they've turned a leaf, and I've gone with Kieran Tierney at the back, and I've got Saka as well. Tierney was unbelievable the other day. I brought him in literally last minute. I was like, oh, deadline's at 4. It was like 3:58, and I just saw that I had Matip and Reece James and are both injured, so I took one out, and I didn't have time to think about it. I was thinking Tierney, West Brom, that will do me. And he did absolute bits for me. But a surprise on which I think he's done well recently, Gundogan. I think he's quite a good shout, and he's cheap. He's been bagging goals as well. So good shout is Gundogan. If he starts though, it could easily be 3 games he plays, 3 games he doesn't.
I was going to say he's one of these who I was considering him a few weeks ago or a week ago, and I was just thinking I think he's an easily rotatable player.
Yeah.
De Bruyne, they ain't dropping really.
No,
Gundogan,
but
I feel like
out
Silva, Torres.
Pep does like him though. I
Rodri.
think Pep really does like playing Gundogan recently. It seems the last 5, 6, 7 games he started every single one. I think so. I think he's one that he enjoyed. I also got Thiago back in as well, but that's just more for price. You know, Liverpool players at price.
Who back in time?
Thiago.
Oh,
Like 5.7
Martinelli in. Put Martinelli in. He played really well in that one game. I can't think who it was against.
Saw you had him.
He played really well, and I was thinking, Aubameyang's not firing. Martinelli's playing really well. The pundits were raving about him, saying, he needs to play Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Saka. Right, I'll put him in. He hasn't played since.
No, he hasn't played.
It's been on the bench the last 3 games. So
he's
to be fair, he didn't play, so Souček came in for 11 points.
I saw that,
He's on my bench, mate.
I couldn't
Souček,
superb.
Really. He's superb.
I don't know why I doubted him. I brought him in. He scores. I was thinking Everton away. He can't score again, and he literally did. And I know now, I'm going to put him in for the next game week. He's blanking. He's definitely blanking.
He's one of those annoyingly good players because you put him on your bench, and then he goes over a corner and scores, and then
he's the new Fellaini.
Yeah.
I was seeing something about that. Like David Moyes at Everton had Fellaini, and now it's like the same sort of thing with West Ham. Haller's actually talking to West Ham quickly. It came off my phone. Sky Sports 20 million agreed a deal with Ajax.
Oh, so I didn't even get the 25 back then for Haller.
No.
Great negotiation skills.
It's a bad investment.
They're 25 this morning. He's talked himself out of 5 million by this afternoon, I heard. Poor club.
They'll use that 20 million just on wages to get Arnautovic back.
Yeah. We got any other shouts for fantasy then?
I'd say Smith Rowe is a good shout.
He's looked good.
And I'm thinking Danny Ings. I'm going to get rid of Calvert-Lewin, I think.
Yeah, that might be Calvert-Lewin. I think he's going to blank.
He normally gets like 4 or 5 recently, and I think he's got 3 or 2 blanks, like I say. But Danny Ings, I might go back for. I don't want to start, and I think
it's a good shout.
If he gets a run with no injuries, he'll get a goal every other game, I reckon.
He took his goal unbelievably well against Liverpool as well, didn't he? Trent, don't know what he was doing, but really good from Ings.
Yeah, but probably Danny Ings, and then my triple captain, Salah or Fernandes next week.
I might bench boost on that week to get the most from my team.
Might have to wildcard it.
That's all I think you got.
We've got all these things, like you said, these games could be called off.
Exactly. You can't write it.
I'm already looking at my team now, and I've got 10 players. I've done my subs, transfers even. I've got 10 eligible players for the next game, so all my bench aren't playing, and I've got 1 player in the team not playing. So,
that's more than I've got, because that one there's loads of. I think I've only got about 5 players playing.
That's why I did my wild card last week to sort it out. Yeah. So I have 2 weeks full of
but obviously the players who play that one next week aren't playing in the double game week.
There are some.
They were playing once. They're playing
once. Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing once. I mean, so you kind of make it up for the double game week having heavy loaded people. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one going forward. My guy at the moment, Dallas. I've had him in since the start of the season for Leeds.
He's done brilliant though.
They concede a hell of a lot of goals, though. That's the only thing. But then he scores.
He just pops up so often. He's not going to get clean sheet bonuses, but he'll score.
Against United, it was 6-2, wasn't it? So he scored.
If they're going to beat someone heavy, he'll even if they're scoring 2 or 3 goals, there's a good chance that he's going to be involved in one of them somewhere along the line. So yeah, he's been my guy. over the last few weeks. So yeah, good to have him in the team performing. He's won as well. You know, when you stick with someone for so long on fantasy through bad periods, because you're just like, you could sense it coming around the corner. So when you get
Jamal Lewis,
you start getting your 11 points, it feels a lot better that way.
Good Lord. He didn't want to leave. He was hanging onto the bloody door.
One more week.
Dean Garner as well, who got what? 1 goal this
God, he's
season.
useless. Snodgrass going to West Brom, though, if that's anyone's interest.
He's got West Brom.
Yeah.
He's going to, apparently.
I've got feelings for Robert Snodgrass, so I'm not happy about that.
Let's leave it on that.
And I think that's the perfect place to stop that then. Tom's confessed love for Scottish international Robert Snodgrass is a good place
Snoddy,
to
mate.
anyway. And thank you for listening in. If you've got this far, thank you. Always remember to follow us on. Now the list is getting longer.
Oh, sorry, I've added.
Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and TikTok. So just
And Apple Music.
And
Apple
YouTube.
Music. And YouTube. And Views from the Stands. You can
even email us if you want.
Tell us if there's somewhere you can't find us, and we'll be there. You know, we're there everywhere. So thank you again. Cheers, lads, for joining us.
No worries.
And we'll
Stay
be back
safe.
again next week with another podcast. Stay safe and
Stay safe.
up the pod.
And in comes Hurst. He's got some dribbler on the pitch. They think it's all over. It is now.